G'day folks, today we have for our software overview video a really interesting fan-made version of Windows once again. Today we have Windows 2010, which is a mock-up of Windows 7 Service Pack 1, and it seems interesting enough that I think let's make a video on it. So let's jump into it. Alright, so I decided to move this thing up here, where I'm pointing my mouse cursor at, so that way it's not nearly in the way, although I could probably make it just a little bit smaller. I don't have to go too obsessive with having my face in the camera. Whatever, that'll do. So then, Windows 2010. Now I've already taken a look at Windows 2007, which was a different project entirely, which you can look at that video by clicking up here where I'm located, if I remember to put the card in there. But basically that was a Windows Vista Ultimate Service Pack 2 iteration that was actually pretty interesting to take a look at. But today we have the Windows 7 version called Windows 2010. And I mean, this one's definitely unique in its own rights, and it's probably still in development, as you'll soon see here when we take a look at this website that was designed with the Wix.com website builder. Create your website today. Whoa. Anyways, I mean, people use Wix all the time to make their own websites, so you know what? I'm not going to give them crap because, I'd probably do the same thing too. So, it looks nice for what it is. So, Windows 2010, the next generation of 7. And let's see what their website says here. Like 7, but better than ever. Windows 2010 brings a new and great experience than ever. Okay, that's an interesting way to write that sentence. We want to make Windows 2010 better and more useful. We will develop more builds to create and make the next generation of 7. Also, if you have some bugs or something's wrong with your OS, oh gosh, it's not exactly the best English, so I'll give them some slack here. I don't know if they're from the United States or not. Please send feedback on the Windows 2010 development server. You can try it out by going to the download page at the bottom of the page. It's free, no additional cost guaranteed. So their wording is not 100% English, like perfect English, but again, I've seen a heck of a lot worse, so I'll give them some slack. That's not too bad. Bugs, problems, let us know. Visit the Windows 2010 development server. It requires Discord. Does that make sense? New features and improvements that simplify your experience. Same as Windows 7 has, but includes more additional features. That's definitely a double negative there, or double positive. I'm not sure what the terminology is in English. Again, I'm not the best at it either, but I digress. But it includes more additional features and improvements that 7 doesn't have. Faster performance, new services, stay secure with new updates and drivers, great for laptops, notebooks, and netbooks. So here's where I start to get a little bit red flag-like. So what do they mean by new services? What do they mean by stay secure with new updates and drivers? What does that mean? Are they trying to shoehorn in unofficial Windows updates alongside what was already released for Windows 7 before it stopped having official support in January of 2020? I have no idea. So that's probably for me to discover and everybody to point and laugh at me, and that's fine. I don't actually know that stuff. This operating system is in development. We will be working on future builds as possible, as fast as possible, or as efficiently as... I don't know what they were trying to put there. And we will expect to release the final build next year. So I would assume next year is not 2020, it would be 2021 because they haven't updated their copyright information down there. But again, it's a Wix site. Development releases are based on Windows 7 Ultimate Service Pack 1, build 7001. That's not correct. Windows 7 Ultimate Service Pack 1, or for that matter, any Service Pack 1 build of Windows 7 is build 7601. So that's a typo. And it can be used on production machines. Development releases are recommended to use for testing purposes. And they show the view builds thing here. And once again, there's an invite to their Discord server. So why don't we look at the builds? Because why not? So as you can see, there are a number of different development builds. Apparently they have milestone 1, 2, and 3. Now for this video, we're taking a look at build 7085, which is a milestone 2 build in their terms. And it's not for any particular reason that I personally chose this. It's because the website appears to be broken in some way, because I want to go and take a look at build 7006, for example. So we click on that and we get a mega link, and Unfortunately, the file we're trying to download is no longer available, and this takes effect for build 7015 as well. You load up the page here, it says that it's not available. 7027, you do the same thing, you open it up, and it's no longer available. So if the person who runs this whole project or whoever does the hosting watches this video, let me know, because I'd be interested in trying out milestone 1 or an earlier milestone 2 build than 7085, because, well, why not? It would be interesting to take a look at for the sake of curiosity and to see how much progress has been made. I mean, if that's something that my viewers would be interested in as well, that'd be kind of nice to do as well, but it's more personally like me being curious than anything, so I don't know. That might be something that I can discuss within my own Discord server if they choose to join, or if I have to join theirs, then whatever. But that's the build we're going to be taking a look at today, is build 7085. Now, for those who want to take a look at this build themselves, then you'll be happy to know that it works, and the file size is just under 4 gigabytes according to this link here. So you'll have to have a way to download this. You have to have no like data limitations or bandwidth restrictions, whatever the case might be, and then you can download it. So what I'm going to do today, I could have totally done this in a virtual machine, but I don't think that's unique enough anymore. People can put these things in virtual machines anyways for the sake of making videos, and for that matter, VMware, it doesn't exactly have the best video performance, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I have a Windows Deployment Services server on the network, and I've already got the image loaded up onto the server. So I'm going to use a computer, a standalone computer that is, to start up over the network and load the image onto the hard drive and then install it and run it on native metal. Because I figure that's probably the best way to do this OS justice. I mean, again, it's nothing that's drastically different than Windows 7 Service Pack 1, so, I mean, big deal, right? But I figure if there's any chance that I could show it off on actual hardware, then that's pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and transition to an actual camera here, which is going to be, you know, this thing here. And, well, let's take a look at Windows 2010, build 7085. Now, my apologies for poor lighting and whatnot, but this will be the computer we're using for this video. It is a Dell Precision T5500 workstation, which is operating with dual Xeon X5650 CPUs and 12 gigs of ECC DDR3 memory, as well as a graphics card that should hopefully work out of the box with a Windows 7 installation. It is the ATI Radeon HD 2900 XT with 1 gig of GDDR4. So that'll be awesome to take a look at. Now, I'm not going to show the full installation process because obviously this is very much similar to Windows 7's installation process, but I will boot it up and show it off on camera real quick so you can get a look at some of the differences. Okay, so forgive me, I don't have a tripod, so you're going to have to just bear with the shaky video if there is any shakiness to it, because, well, that's just how it goes around here. I need to get like a mount for a tripod so I can mount my phone, or at least get a better camera. That's probably the better idea. Anyways, let's go ahead and hit onboard network controller. Now, unfortunately, the network cable I'm using is 100 megabit rated. It is not meant for gigabit, which will delay my side of installation. It's not going to delay the video per se, but it is going to make installation for my end a lot slower. But it's not like it's unfunctional, so you know what it is. So as you can see, I have put Windows 2010 setup there within all my other options for WDS. So we'll go ahead and boot Windows 2010 setup. Now, if you do this for yourself, it is branded as Windows 7 setup if you go and put this in for your own Windows Deployment Services server, which I know a lot of people probably don't have these things, but if you do, or if you just so happen to do that, well, it'll be no different than Windows 7 as far as configuration is concerned. And a big fact, actually, that's probably worth spreading, this is 64-bit Windows 7, so you can't run this on a 32-bit computer. So if you don't have anything like a 64-bit Pentium 4 or Pentium D, or whatever the case might be, you can't run this OS at a base minimum, which also means you can't run it on a Pentium M because Pentium M's are not 64-bit. So as you might have been able to see, the background for the setup is different. Now, this Windows Deployment Services thing is standard Windows 7 Windows Deployment Services. It's nothing fancy, or at least it's the implementation that is used with Windows Server 2019 Essentials. So that's why it looks a little bit off center. Of course, you can't move this out of the way. That's part of the setup process itself. But if we were to start this up off USB or DVD or something, then it would have its own like unique look to it, which would be probably Windows 2010 branded. I could probably do that in a virtual machine and insert a screenshot for you real quick if you're interested in what that looks like. But either way, I'm going to verify my user account with my server, and we'll get on with the installation. And here we are at the out-of-box experience for Windows 2010. Now, of course, again, this is kind of a bit modified because of Windows Deployment Services, so you'll just have to bear with me. This is probably not how you normally see this, but at the very least, we do have 1080p resolution at the gate because of that GPU I picked. Not exactly the most ideal for modern uses, but for this task, it's fine. It'll work. So let's go ahead and go through this. I'm going to go ahead and put in my name. And we'll just call this T5500 since it is on the network. We're not going to set up a password. We're not going to put in a product key, accept license terms, ask me later, and so on and so forth. One thing you might also notice, some of the user interface elements have been squared off. You might remember that as being a design trait of Windows 8 betas when everything was squared off. The only thing, at least at this build stage, they don't have the basic theme squared off. Now, I don't know if that requires a whole new basic theme to be implemented like it was like in Windows 2007, but you get the idea. That text was modified there on that screen. Now, for this build, at least that's what I've noticed, and this might have been fixed in a future build, so don't quote me on this, but that's off-center. And that doesn't look quite right because that Asus logo there on the monitor housing is directly probably centered with the LCD itself, and you can just see that that logo's off to the left. That just doesn't look very proportionate, but it's whatever. So it's probably, like I said, it's been fixed in a future build, but if not, well then please people get on with it already, I guess. I don't know. And there's the custom Logon sound, which is obviously different than Windows 7. And a lot of the sound effects have been changed. Now, not every single one of them has changed. Of course, there are some that are still the same. So if we go under the personalized menu here, and yes, I'll get back to the rest of the video here in just a moment, but I'm just going to go off on this little tangent here. A lot of these sound effects are custom. I don't know where they derive from, so someone would probably have to answer this for me in the comment section, but I do think they do sound quite nice. That just sounds way too quiet personally, but that's just me. Oh, actually, that one's the same as the Logon sound. And that's all the custom sound effects. So they do sound actually pretty nice, in my opinion. Now, I mean, obviously other people would beg to differ, but that's just my personal opinion. So now let's take a look at the operating system itself in a little bit more detail. As you can see, the wallpaper is custom with the Windows 2010 logo and the shh, let's not leak our hard work by making 2010 better, which is, again, another throwback to the Windows 8 builds. If anybody remembers the shh, let's not leak our hard work thing, which I've always gotten a bit of a kick out of, that Microsoft would say that, but you know, it's Microsoft. Down here at the bottom right is the usual like Windows beta build strings that are shown whenever that's been manually activated with like, I think, Tweak UI or something. As you can see, it says Windows 2010 codename Flight build 7085. And Flight has a bit of a presence in the custom wallpapers that are also present in this build, but we'll get to that in a little bit. On the desktop, we do have a couple of text files, one labeled changelog, one is labeled feedback. If you download this for yourself, you can take a look at those at your own leisure. For now, let's go into the My Computer Properties window. And as you can see, Windows 2010 Ultimate and its copyright, interestingly, both 2009 and 2010 through 2019 Microsoft Corporation. And of course, since this is based on Windows 7 Service Pack 1, it's got Service Pack 1 there. And there you can see my actual system specifications there.
Now you might be able to see if I look at the window here more closely. Again, it's got a squared off appearance. Now again, this was in the beta versions of Windows 8. Like for example, the developer preview had a theme that was very much like this, only the glass had a more frosted appearance. I think they've tried to replicate this in Windows 2007, although Windows 8 had it much more strongly applied. And another thing is the header text that you might see on some windows. So for example, let's open up Windows Media Player. As you can see, the font has been changed to Segoe UI Lite. I believe that's what they used. And the size of the font is also increased ever so slightly. But the alignment of the text is still off to the left, like Windows 7 did it, and for that matter, how Windows 10 does it today. Now, the reason why I've opened up Windows Media Player specifically is because I do want to note that there is a difference with the sample music. There have been some additions. Now, the standard sample music has remained. So this was one of the sample songs here that was included with Windows 7. If I scroll down, this was also included, and this was also included. Every other song that is in this list, for the most part, maybe except for that one there, is, for the most part, vaporwave. So, I mean, if you're not into that, well, I apologize. I didn't make this OS, so that is what it is. But I'm not going to play it either because I don't want to risk getting copyright flags on my video. But that's just something I wanted to point out, that it does exist. Now, I believe this is based on a vanilla copy of Windows 7 Service Pack 1, so it does not include Internet Explorer 11, or for that matter, modern Microsoft Edge, but then again, this build probably dates from 2019, hence the copyright year, so I'm not surprised. But still, it would be nice if they probably implement modern Internet Explorer. It's just a joke not to have it updated these days, and it helps improve the performance and security of the OS, in my opinion. But then again, we all replace it with Google Chrome derivatives or Firefox to begin with, so it's kind of a pointless detail. You might as well just remove Internet Explorer at that rate. But I get it, somebody probably needs to use that to download a modern operating system, browser, or whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Interestingly, preloaded is the Subsystem for Unix-based applications. Now, I'm not sure why this is included. Maybe that's for the sake of development. Maybe they accidentally left that in there. Not sure the purpose of it. Someone can probably fill me in the comments down below. Again, it's probably used for some other purpose that I don't know what it's for. But otherwise, it's just typical vanilla Windows 7 Ultimate in this case. When I was trying to put this in WDS, it did have configuration files for Home Basic, Home Premium, Professional, as well as Ultimate. But for the sake of the video, I picked Ultimate because why wouldn't you? Realistically speaking, though, because this is based on Windows 7, you would just use the product key you're choosing, so you could pick Professional, Home Premium, or Ultimate, whatever you prefer to use, or whatever your license is. So, not a big deal. Underneath the pictures, well, it's just the standard Windows 7 sample pictures. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, where's the flight pictures at? Well, I'll get to that here right now. So let's go to Personalize. And what you might notice is that a lot of these Windows 7 themes are still in here. And in fact, they still have their same sound effects. So that much hasn't really changed. But if you scroll down a little bit, there are some custom themes. Well, aside from United States, because that's obviously part of Windows 7. I think South Africa was an official one, but don't quote me on that because it uses the same sound effects as the Savannah theme in Windows 7. So that might be a Microsoft theme. I couldn't tell you for sure. The wallpapers look like they would be a South Africa related theme that Microsoft would offer on their website for download. And in fact, if we actually go in here to look, the quality of the wallpapers actually would reflect that. But I don't know about the copyright information. I'm not sure if this was part of an official Microsoft theme. But someone can, again, enlighten me down below in the comments section, or if someone who's affiliated with this project's development. But there are some other custom themes in here, such as United Kingdom, which uses the custom sound scheme. And there are unique wallpapers here, as you can see. Now, I remember this one from when I was dinking around with, I think it was the Windows 7 Logon background changer or something like that. I believe that's where that derives from. But otherwise, there's some other pretty nice wallpapers on here too. Again, I question whether or not this was actually part of a Windows 7 theme by Microsoft, but someone, again, can probably enlighten me. There is Canada, which just uses the cityscape sound scheme, and this wallpaper seems awfully familiar. And again, there are those wallpapers that derive from or at least all of these, at least I think, derived from the Windows 7 Logon background changer. I distinctly remember these. And then there's lastly Australia, which again uses the cityscape sound scheme. Yeah, I know some of these pictures, I do. So that's quite entertaining for me, at least. I mean, probably not for other people. And then of course there's the typical like Windows 7 the basic theme, which we looked at in the out-of-box experience, which looks kind of tacky here because it's still got the rounded corners of the Windows 7 basic theme, which someone noted is a bit weird. But again, I don't know if they fix that in a future build. We'll probably have to explore a future build to figure that one out. Or maybe that's planned, but hasn't been implemented yet. But it still has things like the squared off interface elements, if you will. And of course, if you're really archaic, you can use Windows Classic, which also has the custom sound scheme, but it's just no different than the standard Windows 7 Classic theme, so there's no point in using that because there's nothing really special about it. So we'll just go back to the arrow theme here. And now let's solve the mystery of where those flight pictures are at. So let's go back to the desktop background section here. As you can see, the default Harmony wallpaper was replaced, and in fact there's actually two versions. One that has that watermark down near in the bottom right, or one that doesn't have it. It's otherwise identical, but that's not what we're interested in. We're basically going to take a look at where those unique wallpapers are. So here they are. Now, this doesn't have its own standalone theme for anything. It's just pictures that are included with the base OS, and so, you know, woohoo, you can select one and apply one, if you will. I don't know if that was also a theme too, that cities one. That might just be a hidden thing. Who knows? Alright, as per usual, I get interrupted when I'm in the middle of making a video because, of course, that's just what happens when you live with other people, and that's just the way that things go. So that's always fun. Anyways, so here's an example of one of the city's wallpapers. Nice and high resolution. What are these resolutions? That one's 2304 by 1536. I imagine that's probably the case for some of these other ones. Oh, that one's actually quite high resolution, 4226 by 2783. It's actually got some tags in it too. That's interesting. 1600 by 1000, 1500 by 700, so on and so forth. But you get the idea. It's got some custom wallpapers. And otherwise, as far as I can tell, there's another modification. So if you go into WinVer here, you can see that they've changed the header picture here, and it says Windows 2010 build 7085, milestone 2. And again, Windows 7's leaking in here with the 7601 Service Pack 1. So of course, this is a completely custom build string there that's unique to this project. And they do change the name, Windows 2010 Ultimate in this case, since that's what I installed. And otherwise, other than what you've seen, it's pretty much just Windows 7. And it's, you know, vanilla state with the whole Internet Explorer 8 being preloaded, Windows Media Center in the case of the Ultimate version, and vice versa. You know, nothing that I can see that would otherwise stand out in the world of this particular build. In fact, I think, yeah, all the games are the standard Windows 7 games. So that's pretty much all there is to discuss regarding Windows 2010 build 7085. Hopefully, if you like what you saw, well, then you know what to press. Well, if you didn't like it so much, well, then the other button works too. Get subscribed down below, click the bell so you don't miss when I upload new videos, and maybe I'll just happen to show a Milestone 3 build, or the latest Milestone 3 build as of the making of this video. We'll just have to see. But with that having been said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.